Hi everyone, Adrian from Audio Excellence with one of your favorite video series, the unboxing.
Awesome! Yes!
Which we haven't done in a very long time. Anyway, we just received some Martin Logans and I wanted to show you some of what makes a Martin Logan. And today we have three, one from each series. So this is the Motion XT, the F100. That is the ESL X, and then we have another one called the Impression ESL 11A. But first we'll start with these two. The F100 is a new series, completely new series, all from ground up, completely different design, all new drivers, and so on and so forth. I'll get into that a little bit later. So first of all, you can see the box is quite big. It's got to be almost 5 feet tall, roughly 5 feet tall, and one speaker comes in each box. One thing I've always liked about Martin Logan is that their industrial design team, which is in-house, comes up with incredibly good solutions for packaging and the way that the speaker is built and so on. I'll show you some of that. So starting with the box, it shows you at the top. See, it says open other end, accessories on bottom. So right off the bat, it'll tell you what to do to make things easy to unbox. So I purposely left it this way, so I'll show you what needs to be done. Okay. Okay. My trusty box knife.
He's got a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
1 hour later.
So it's double boxed, you can see. Okay. All right, first thing. Big, thick piece of foam, accessories box. Okay. Little quick start guide. Martin Logan sticker, interesting. And a little sticker that says Martin Logan 40 years. Look at that. I don't know where you'd use this, but anyway. And these are the spikes. So this is the outrigger that you attach to the bottom of the speaker. And it comes with these rubber-tipped spikes, and I believe, I could be wrong, yeah, you can switch these rubber-tipped out for spiky feet if you want to have them really anchored down into the ground. So this may be better for hardwood floor, and this would be good for carpet. Okay, so we'll get to those later. Wow, that's a big box for not a very tall speaker. Look at that. Speaker comes up to below my chest, but the box is up here. But that's good because it means they'll protect the speaker well. All right, so now we've got the outriggers on. This is what it looks like, and you'll notice that the speaker is slanted. Well, that's because the top is slanted. So let me right size it, and you can see what it looks like. Okay. Okay, ta-da. All right, so this is what it looks like. It comes from the factory with the grills on. I'll go through some of the specifications now. Got my handy cheat sheet here. The Motion XT F100, there's a model above it called the 200. This is the model below. It's 6,000 US dollars, Canadian dollars I should say. Specifications, the the frequency response is 31 hertz to 25 kilohertz plus or minus 3 decibels. 92 dB sensitivity, which means it's quite easy to drive. 4 ohms, again, not that difficult. Most home theater receivers today will do 4 ohms, but just double check to make sure. It uses a 1 1/4 inch by 2.4 inch high ribbon tweeter. It's basically an AMT, for some of you who know that, with a waveguide. This is all new. This waveguide was specifically designed to help with the tweeter's dispersion. On the one hand, you want the tweeter to go as wide as what the design wants it, and at the same time be able to control some of it so it doesn't hit off side walls as much, as well as vertical dispersion as well. And then it's got a 6.5 inch Nomex reinforced Kevlar mid-range driver in its own sealed enclosure. Let's take the grill off and I can show you that. So that's what it looks like. And you'll notice that the grill uses these round little pegs instead of magnets. Apparently they didn't want any kind of magnet system behind it. They just preferred this. And it's extremely transparent. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that? It just goes right through. It's a very open cell material. So very good on them. And then 3 woofers at the bottom. And again, I showed you just now, the woofers port down to the bottom. And then last but not least, the way that these spikes work, can you see? To level, it's really easy. All you have to do is turn this. And while you're turning it, it already moves the spike up and down. So you can level the speaker or adjust the rake very, very easily by using this. Okay, so that is the Motion XT F100. Big mouthful. Now let's look at this. Oh, one more thing. Back of the speaker. You have really nice well-made binding posts. You'll notice that it flares out, so it's very easy for your thumb and the forefinger to grip and give you a nice torsion on it. See that? A lot of times you'll see binding posts that are round and you have a really hard time making any kind of torque on it. There you go. So you can buy wire or buy amp as you see fit, or just use it single wire as the case may be. And if that's the case, then you leave these straps on. All right. Now we're going to do this one. This is the ElectroMotion ESL X. So in the ElectroMotion series, this is the top of the line. Open up the flap. And then you push it out from the back. And there you go, speaker's almost out. Ta-da! All right, so as I said earlier, they have an industrial design team in-house, and that helps them to design really good packaging. So as you can see, it's really well done. There's a lot of support and more than enough reinforcement in case the speaker gets hit on the side. It will be protected by these. And at the same time, same with the front, top, and bottom. Okay, so you take this off. And I believe this is the accessories box. Yes, it is. Comes with the transformer for the power supply. And, I don't know what that is. Okay, we'll have to check this later. Okay, very professional. So plastic and a cloth, not quite, derivative to protect the speaker, and that's what you see. So this is the satin black finish. Satin black finish, I believe, is 6,000 Canadian. I'll double check it for you in a second. Comes with, I believe, an 8-inch woofer at the top and a port at the bottom. Yeah, if you put your hand at the bottom, you can feel a big port. So again, like the Motion, that means that the speaker is more easy to place from the front wall. There's also a woofer in the back, if I'm not wrong, right there. Yep, and that's also another 8-inch woofer. I don't know if the grill comes off. Let's see. Yeah, it does. There we go. This is another 8-inch woofer. I'll talk about the setup in a moment, but the factory has a really good rule of thumb in terms of how to get started with the setup. And while we're at the back here, this is where you plug in the power transformer to charge it. Again, the binding post, you'll notice, again, same idea. It's a wider flange so you can torque it easily. And then the front. So again, there's an 8-inch woofer at the front, and this is the electrostatic panel. Let me give you the dimensions and details. Okay, so $6,000, I was correct, satin black. 2 8-inch custom designed woofers, and these woofers are designed so that they're lightweight but very strong to keep up with the electrostatic panel. Frequency response is 41 to 22 kilohertz, plus or minus 3 decibels, 91 dB sensitivity, 6 ohms. So you can use it with a lot of tube amplifiers, good power amplifiers. It doesn't necessarily have to be a very high current, although it's always good if you do have one. And it's 52 pounds. By the way, the Motion XT F100 is 76 pounds. Wow. And it comes in gloss black, walnut, and satin white. Okay, so that's this. Next, we will go to the Impression ESL 11A. So we'll cut away and we'll come back in a moment.
10 seconds later.
Martin Logan has a really good rule of thumb for the electrostatic speakers. You place the front of the back of the cabinet a minimum distance of whatever the woofer size is. So in this case, it's an 8-inch woofer. So you want to place the back of the cabinet about 8 inches from the front wall. So that'll give you a good starting point to work with. You can certainly move it forward and backwards and until you get the results you want. Okay, last but not least, at least for today, we have the Impression ESL 11A. So the Impression is part of the Masterpiece series. There are 3 models, the 15A, 13A, and 11A. So 11 is the smallest one. That's what we just received so far. The 11, 13, and 15 refers to the width of the electrostatic panel. So 11 is 11 inches, 13, 13 inches, and so on and so forth. You can see how deep the cabinet is. Look at the enclosure. It's insane. And it only contains 1 speaker. Quick specs, 2 8-inch powered woofers. Each woofer has a 275 watt Class D amplifier. It also includes an Anthem room correction system for the bass drivers only. It doesn't touch the electrostatic panels. And again, same with rule of thumb. Since it uses 8-inch drivers, you just start with 8 inches from the back of the cabinet to the front wall. 29 hertz to 23,000 hertz, plus or minus 3 decibels. So this really goes quite low. 91 dB sensitivity, 4 ohms, compatible with 4, 6, or 8 ohms. I would strongly recommend that you have an amplifier that's capable of 4 ohms, and tube amps are certainly going to be fine for the most part because the sensitivity is high and you're driving only the panels. There's also a bass control in the back, which I'll show you in a moment. bass control plus or minus 10 dB, as well as a mid bass control, and it weighs 90 pounds. Okay, so here we go. I've already cut the straps, so we're just going to cut the tape. All right, here we go. And
ta-da!
This is how big that box is. Look at that. That's insane. Who ships a speaker with such a big box?
It
Anyway.
could fit like 5 of me in there.
That's right. Mike could fit in there, and Mike's a big guy, so that tells you how big this thing is. But again, it's a testament to how well the company designs their packaging so that it should arrive at your place safe. Anyway, this is Cece. She doesn't come with the speakers. All right, we'll actually show you the speakers now because I have, in fact, unpacked it, and we'll go into some details. All right, see you in a bit. All right, as I said, we've already unpacked the speakers. This is the ESL 11A. You can see that the speakers are quite deep because the cabinet that houses the two 8-inch woofers is very long, and the reason for that is because they wanted each woofer to have its own enclosed chamber. So that they're not fighting against each other. There's also a technical reason why, which I won't get into in this video. Underneath the speaker are rubber tip feet. You can also replace them with spikes. Since we're just starting to break them in, I didn't want to bother. You can see also that we've got the speaker about roughly 5 feet from the wall from the center of the panel, and that's because I wanted to break them in and see what they sounded like at this distance, and then I'm going to start playing with them later on. We haven't done the ARC room correction with it as yet. Again, at some point we will. But overall, if you look at the speaker, certainly from the front and from the side, it's quite attractive. I love the walnut. It comes with, like, I think standard 8 or 9 finishes, including painted finishes. And then for a small amount extra, they can also paint it to any automotive or metal paint that you want. Just give them a sample and then they'll paint it to your requirement. So again, as I mentioned, this is 11 inches in width. That's why it's called the ESL 11A. And I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about. And again, it's also tilted. And the reason for the tilt is because electrostatic or panel speakers have limited vertical dispersion. That's an advantage. It means that if you have a short ceiling, it's not going to bother your room sound that much because it's not going to shoot immediately up to the ceiling, come right back down, and start screwing up your imaging and tonality and so on. Also, this panel is rounded. Many of you will already know this, but there are some electrostatic speakers, quads, and so on, where the panels are flat. By having a rounded curve like that, it allows listeners off to the center more ability to hear from the opposite speaker. So that's a good thing. Also, because it is electrostatic or a panel speaker, it doesn't disperse that much sound immediately to the side. So if you wanted to play, if you ever wanted to have a fun experience, if you're at a store where there's a panel speaker playing, whether it's a Martin Logan or a Magnepan, stand to the side and you will notice almost immediately that there's almost no sound or very little mid-range and high frequency coming out of the panel. You will hear bass, but very little from the panel itself. And again, that's a good thing because it means that in a tight environment in a room, you can still use these speakers to a better effect than a regular dynamic speaker because the radiation pattern is more room-friendly, so to speak. The downside, however, is that it does require some space between the panel and the front wall. So again, with Martin Logan, they give you a rule of thumb. You place the back of the cabinet starting about 8 inches, in this case, the size of the woofer. Or if you, in the case of the ESL 13, it's 10 inches. Or in the case of the 15, it is 12 inches. And you start from there and then you move the speakers back and forth as you need to. All right, that's the unboxing. As I've mentioned, we're now going to show you the back and talk about the two controls available. All right, so on the back, you have a number of connections. Over here, it's the microphone connection so that you can do your ARC calibration. And then over here, you have the adjustment for mid-bass. So it's -2 dB, 0, or +2 dB. So this switch is for the ARC room EQ, so you can turn it on or off. Over here is your mid-bass switch, so -2 dB, 0, or +2 dB. And then finally, this is the rotary dial to give you plus 12 or minus 12 dB from below 75 hertz. So you can, once you do your ARC room correction, after you've done that, you can then tweak the bass dial as you like to get the kind of sound you're looking for here, as well as the mid-bass switch. So it's really, really easy to set up. And of course, the speaker wires connect there. You plug in your power cable. When everything's working, the green light turns on when you have music. When there's no music, it goes into standby, so it'll be a red light. If something goes wrong with the internal amplifier that's driving the woofers, the red light will flash. Okay, that's it. See you again next time.